The dim, ethereal light of Westminster Abbey filtered through stained glass, casting a somber glow over the mourners gathered on that fateful June morning, the air thick with the scent of lilies and the oppressive weight of unspoken dread. The tolling of the funeral bell marked the beginning of King Charles III's final journey, its mournful peal reverberating through the ancient stone walls, a sound that seemed to pierce the soul of every attendee. The royal coffin, an ornate masterpiece draped in deep velvet embroidered with golden lilies and crowned with the imperial state crown, rested solemnly atop a gun carriage drawn by Royal Navy sailors in crisp white uniforms. The procession moved with a solemn cadence led by the Royal Company of Archers, their green and gold attire a stark contrast to the sea of black mourning clothes. Prince William stood at the forefront, his navy suit impeccable, yet his face was a canvas of grief, tears glistening in his red-rimmed eyes as he stared at the coffin of the father he had both revered and clashed with over the years. Beside him, Duchess Catherine clutched a handkerchief, her veiled hat trembling slightly as she fought to contain her sobs, her heart aching with the loss of the man who had been a complex figure in her life as well. Prince Harry, positioned at a discreet distance near the back, wore a dark suit with a poppy pinned to his lapel, his hands clenched tightly, knuckles white, as he battled a torrent of sorrow mingled with the unresolved anger that had defined his estrangement. The distance between the brothers was a palpable chasm, widened by years of silence, yet their shared loss united them in this moment of raw vulnerability. The service unfolded with rigid precision, the Dean of Westminster's resonant prayer, the Archbishop of Canterbury's steady reading from the Book of Common Prayer, and the choir's haunting rendition of Requiem Aeternam, filling the vast space with an otherworldly sorrow. Yet beneath this solemnity, a storm brewed, unnoticed by the public, but felt keenly by those in the know. As the congregation bowed their heads in prayer, a palace aide, his face pale with urgency, slipped a sealed envelope into William's hand, whispering hoarsely, "From the late Queen, Sire." The prince's heart sank as he recognized the royal crest, his fingers trembling as he tucked it into his pocket, a silent promise to confront its contents later. The lowering of the coffin into the vault, accompanied by the mournful strains of the last post, drew a collective gasp from the assembly, the finality of Charles's death sinking deep into their bones. But the true shock came moments later, when a hushed rumor, carried on the lips of a nervous courtier, spread through the pews. A hidden will had been found, casting a shadow of doubt over Charles's legitimacy as heir. The abbey fell into an eerie silence, the weight of this revelation hanging like a dark cloud, as William's mind raced with the implications for his own future on the throne, a future now shrouded in uncertainty. Note: the envelope, sealed with the late Queen's personal wax stamp, bore a faint scent of her favorite rose perfume, a haunting reminder of her presence that sent a shiver down William's spine as he held it. The evening descended with a heavy gloom over Kensington Palace, the flickering candlelight casting long shadows across the study where Prince William sat alone, the sealed envelope trembling in his hands. The wax seal, imprinted with Queen Elizabeth II's personal crest, cracked under his thumb with a sound that echoed like a gunshot in the silence. He unfolded the parchment, his breath catching as he traced the elegant script, their handwriting, a familiar comfort from childhood letters, now a harbinger of dread. "My dearest family," it began, her words dripping with love and a poignant finality that tugged at his heart. She spoke of her pride in Charles, in William, in Harry, and in the broader lineage that defined the Windsors. But as his eyes moved down the page, the tone shifted, a chill creeping into his bones. "Should the line of succession falter," she wrote, "let it be known that the blood of the House of Windsor must remain pure. If doubts arise, seek the truth in the archives of Balmoral." The ambiguity struck William like a physical blow, his mind reeling with questions. What doubts? His thoughts darted to the whispers that had haunted his father's reign, the tumultuous marriage to Diana, the tabloid speculation about Harry's parentage, and now this cryptic warning from beyond the grave. Catherine entered the room, her presence a quiet solace, her soft footsteps a contrast to the storm in his mind. She read over his shoulder, her gasp a sharp intake of breath that mirrored his own shock. "Could this mean?" she whispered, her voice trembling with disbelief. William's response was a broken whisper. That father wasn't the rightful king? The thought was unbearable. Years of grooming for the crown, the sleepless nights studying protocol, the public scrutiny, all potentially for naught. He summoned Princess Anne, whose military composure masked her own turmoil as she entered, her eyes narrowing at the letter. "We need to investigate Balmoral immediately," she declared, her tone firm yet laced with a dread she couldn't fully suppress. The palace buzzed with frenetic activity as aides and historians were dispatched to the Scottish estate, their footsteps echoing through the halls as they sifted through dusty ledgers and sealed vaults, their whispers a symphony of urgency. Days later, the team returned with a second documenta will, signed by Elizabeth, its edges yellowed with age, hinting at a child born out of wedlock to a distant royal relative during Charles's grandfather's reign, King George VI. The child, it suggested, had been hidden away, their existence erased from official records to protect the family's reputation. William felt a surge of nausea, his father's legacy unraveling before his eyes, the man he had idolized, now a figure of doubt. Catherine's hand on his shoulder anchored him, her voice a soft reassurance. "We'll face this together." Late that night, in the dim light of their private quarters, he confided in her, his voice a whisper of fear. "What if I'm not meant to be king?" She held him close, her tears mingling with his, her strength a lifeline. "We'll find the answer," she vowed, her resolve stealing his faltering courage. The will's discovery ignited a firestorm within the palace walls. Courtiers debated its authenticity, some dismissing it as a forgery crafted by a disgruntled servant, others insisting the Queen's unmistakable seal and signature lent it credence. William's grief turned to a steely resolve he would not let his family's history be rewritten without irrefutable proof. Yet the seed of doubt had been planted, gnawing at his confidence, his every thought shadowed by the possibility of a usurper. Harry, receiving a copy of the letter via a discreet courier in California, felt a flicker of hope this could be his chance to reclaim his place, to heal the rift with his brother. But Meghan's wary gaze reminded him of the risks, her voice soft yet firm. "Are you sure you want to open this wound again?" The royal family stood on the brink, their emotions a tangled web of love, loss, and the relentless pursuit of truth. Note: the will's parchment carried a faint watermark of the Balmoral crest, a detail that sent a shiver through William, as if in the hazy dawn light of Westminster Abbey, a heavy atmosphere enveloped every strained face. The tolling of the funeral bell reverberated, blending with the stifled sobs of those gathered around the royal coffin, adorned with flowers and golden velvet. King Charles III, once a symbol of resilience, now lay there, at eternal rest. Yet beneath this dignified veneer, a horrifying secret was beginning to unravel. An ancient letter discovered in a hidden drawer of Buckingham Palace had plunged the royal family into chaos. Could this be the final will of Queen Elizabeth II, or merely a cruel twist of fate? Prince William, his red-rimmed eyes glistening, stood silently beside the coffin, while Prince Harry, from a distance, could not conceal the anguish etched across his face. Duchess Catherine, though striving to maintain a calm exterior, failed to hide the tears that threatened to fall. But the greatest question lingered. Would the British throne truly pass to the rightful heir? Before embarking on the journey to uncover the truth behind this funeral, let us reflect on the life of King Charles, a man who left behind a legacy steeped in controversy, carrying secrets to his grave. The days of splendor, the family discord, and the whispers of a forgotten Errol will be laid bare in the moments to come. The confrontation came at a tense family gathering in the grand staterooms of Buckingham Palace, the air thick with unspoken accusations and the faint scent of polished wood. A long mahogany table separated William, seated at the head with Catherine by his side, from Alistair and Harry, who stood opposite, their expressions a mirror of determination and doubt. The birth certificate lay between them, its faded ink, a silent witness to the storm about to unfold. William's voice was low but firm, laced with a tremor of anger. This could be a lie to tear us apart, a fabrication to exploit our grief. Harry countered, his voice raw with emotion. Or it could be the truth we've all avoided, the reason I've never felt I belonged. The room fell into a heavy silence, the weight of their words hanging like a guillotine. Catherine stepped forward, her voice gentle yet resolute, cutting through the tension. We need to know for our children's sake, George, Charlotte, and Louis deserve clarity. Camilla, joining via a video link from Clarence House, her face pale and eyes cold, muttered, "This is a disgrace to Charles's memory." Her pain palpable as she defended her late husband's legacy, her hands clutching the edge of the screen. The argument escalated, voices rising as old wounds reopened. William accused Harry of exploiting the situation for personal gain, his words sharp. "You've always wanted to undermine me now. You have your chance." Harry lashed out, his voice breaking. "You've always wanted me gone, now you have your chance to prove it." Anne intervened, her authority cutting through the chaos like a blade. "Enough. We verify the documents, or we fall apart as a family." The decision was made to submit Alistair's evidence to forensic experts, a process that would take weeks, leaving the family in a state of agonizing limbo. William retreated to his study, his hands trembling as he stared at a framed photo of his father, the man he had idolized, now a figure of doubt in his mind. Catherine found him there, her embrace a silent promise of support, though her own fears for their children's future gnawed at her. "What if this changes everything?" he whispered, his voice a fragile thread. She held him tighter, her tears mingling with his. "We'll protect them no matter what." Outside, the public reaction was a divided spectacle. Crowds gathered in Trafalgar Square, some waving Union Jacks in support of William, their chants a defiant, "God save the King," while others held candles for Alistair, viewing him as a symbol of justice long denied. Social media erupted with hashtags #RoyalScandal and #LostEar. Opinions split between fierce loyalty to the Windsors and calls for a new era of transparency. Protesters clashed with royalists, their shouts echoing through London's streets, a cacophony of voices demanding answers. The media frenzy intensified, with tabloids speculating on Alistair's motives: greed, revenge, or a genuine claim. Pundits debated on morning shows, their voices a chorus of conjecture, while William felt the pressure mount, his every public appearance a tightrope walk between duty and despair. At a memorial service days later, he delivered a eulogy for his father, his voice steady but his eyes betraying a storm within. "My father's reign was one of service, and I will honor that, whatever the cost." Harry, facing the press outside the palace, spoke haltingly, "I just want the truth for my father's sake," his voice breaking, a plea that stirred both sympathy and skepticism. The royal household braced for the outcome, the tension palpable as the world watched, the monarchy's future hanging by a thread. Note: the birth certificate's royal seal, slightly chipped with age, seemed to pulse with the heartbeat of a forgotten past, a detail that haunted William as he held it. Weeks later, the forensic results arrived, delivered to Buckingham Palace in a sealed dossier that seemed to hum with the weight of destiny. The royal family gathered in the opulent staterooms, the air suffocating with anticipation, William at the head with Catherine by his side, Harry and Alistair opposite, and Anne, as mediator, her presence a steadying force. The expert's report was clear, its words cutting like a knife. Alistair's lineage was confirmed with 99% certainty, his claim valid under the obscure rules of the 1947 Succession Act. William's world shattered. His chest tightened, a mix of rage, resignation, and disbelief, flooding him as he realized the crown might slip from his grasp, the legacy he had been groomed for now a fragile illusion. Catherine's hand on his arm steadied him, her whisper a lifeline. "We'll find a way," her voice trembling but resolute. Harry broke the silence, his voice raw with emotion. "This doesn't have to end us, Will. We can face it together." William's eyes met his brother's, a flicker of the bond they had lost in childhood surfacing through the years of estrangement. For a moment the room held its breath, the possibility of reconciliation hanging in the balance. But duty prevailed. William's voice was steady, though laced with pain. "I can't let the monarchy fall, not after everything Father built." His decision crystallized as he proposed a compromise. Alistair would be acknowledged as a royal cousin, granted the title of Duke of Edinburgh but with no claim to the throne, preserving William's succession while honoring the truth. Alistair nodded, his relief tinged with a quiet sadness, accepting a life of recognition rather than rule. Camilla, present via video link, sighed in relief, her late husband's legacy partially salvaged, though her eyes betrayed a lingering hurt. The public announcement was a global event, broadcast live from the palace balcony on a crisp afternoon. William, flanked by Catherine and a reconciled Harry, addressed the nation, his voice firm despite the tremor beneath. "We have faced a truth that tested us, but we emerged stronger, united in our resolve." The crowd's response was a mixed tapestry, cheers for unity rising from some, boos for the compromise echoing from others. But the monarchy stood, a fragile edifice reinforced by this act. Behind closed doors, William confided in Catherine, his voice breaking, "I did this for Father, for us, for the children." She smiled through tears, her hand cupping his face. "You've honored him and us." Harry, staying longer than planned, shared a tentative embrace with William, a step toward healing, though the scars of their past remained etched in their wary glances. The climax left the royal family transformed. William's reign would begin under a cloud of scrutiny, but his decisions cemented his leadership, a testament to his strength and sacrifice. Harry returned to California with a renewed bond, a fragile thread of brotherhood rekindled, while Alistair settled into a quiet life with his new title, his presence a reminder of the monarchy's complex history. The letter from Elizabeth II, once a threat to their unity, had become a catalyst for resolution, its secrets buried with Charles. Yet whispers persisted in the corridors of power. Would another heir rise from the shadows? The future of the crown remained uncertain, a story yet to unfold, its pages turned by the hands of fate and the resilience of those who wore the crown.